Hey guys, Chrono16 here with a new updated video about Comet Ison. Now, as you guys know who follow us here on YouTube, we first made a video several months ago when the information was just breaking about Comet Ison. And in that the first and only video that we made up until this point, we talked about how bright would Ison get and how, in what times and what different parts of the night in the mornings that you could see Comet Ison and what it would look like from different parts of the United States and world. Actually, that video is still a very good video for information on what Comet Ison will look like and the magnitude of Comet Ison at different points as it comes into our solar system and exits out of our solar system. So go to that YouTube video linked under this video if you want to see what that comet is going to possibly look like if everything pans out just the way they say it will. The only information in that video that isn't good is at that time when I made that video, I said that Ison, there's no evidence that we were passing to the debris field of Ison at that time. And at that time, there was no evidence. Now, obviously, several months later, there's some new information that's come out from a scientist, Paul Wiegert, from the University of Western Ontario. He ran some computer simulations, and what he found out is that the Earth will pass into the comet tail debris section of Comet Ison. But what he's saying is, when that does happen, what he's stating is that for one, the comet is traveling through space at 125,000 miles per hour. And when these comet dust particles hit the atmosphere and they start to descend, it will slow down, resulting to what he said, instead of burning up in the atmosphere like you've seen in many videos over the last couple of months of meteorites coming into the atmosphere and burning up into bright lights, he's saying this stuff is going to drift down slowly and no one will even notice it, according to him and NASA, if you really want to believe that. Now, as you know, I don't believe anything any government agency tells you, because they're not looking out for your best interest in the first place. All they're trying to do is get more power and money. That's all they're concerned about. They're not concerned about me and you or our safety at all. Now, they say that all of this is going to happen in 2014 around January 12th. All this stuff is supposed to take place as we pass into the debris field of Comet Ison. Now, there are other people out there like remote viewer Ed Dames, for example. There's some information linked on this video about Ed Dames and what he is and what remote viewing is. He's been saying since the 1990s, and there's documented evidence of what he said since the 90s right here on YouTube, actually. Just look up Ed Dames. He's been talking about a kill shot coming in from the sun, a massive solar flare that's going to do some serious damage here on Earth coming in from the sun. And he's been saying that a large body passing by is what's going to cause it. Well, now he's saying that that large body is Ison and that it's going to cause a flare. Now, we do know for a fact that, and you can go research this yourself, guys, that comets, when they go by the sun, and when they actually particularly go by the sun very close, they cause flares to come off the sun. This is documented by SOHO and the space probes that they have up there in space. Go look this up. You'll see. And most of the times when these comets, definitely when they run into the sun and crash into the sun, they usually produce a large flare, and they always miss the Earth. And also when they pass very close to the sun and come back around the sun, most of the time, I say about 85 to 90% of the time, they produce large flares. So there's a very good possibility that what the remote viewer Ed Dames has been saying since the 90s could happen. Why is that particularly so with this comet? It's because of Ison's apparent unusual size. Ison is a huge comet, okay? And bigger than normal, by the way. So that is a very strong possibility that what he says could come to pass. Now, he was on Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie on April 23rd. So after I get through talking to you guys and giving you a little bit more information about what's going on with Comet Ison, we're going to go over to some audio from that Coast to Coast AM show and let you listen to yourself to what Ed Dames is saying. Now, what we're going to do now is we're going to go on over to some other information here. Dates to remember. Okay, now the dates to remember here are October 14th to 15th, and we're going to go on over to Stellarium, which is there's a link under this video on how to get Stellarium. It's a free program, very useful program, and these dates are showing the comet in different parts of the sky around different types of objects like planets and Leo and different formations in the sky, so that way you can go outside at certain times and look at it. Okay, because we just want to keep you updated on what's going on with the comet. Now, as of me making this video right here, this is all the updated information. What I just told you about what the scientist said, and what I'm fixing to show you here on screen using Stellarium is really the most updated information that there is out there. We couldn't find anything else more updated. But I do want to stress, there is a possibility that this comet will have an electrical reaction with the sun and cause a large flare to happen. That is a very real possibility. And it's also a very real possibility now that when we pass into debris field, it could cause a possible deadly meteor shower. I didn't say it was going to happen for sure. I did say it is very possible that that could happen, because no one knows what this comet is made out of. No one knows what's following this comet into our solar system. So these are very real possibilities, and I want to stress very urgently that these are very real possibilities, and that you may want to obviously watch the progression of this comet as it comes in toward the earth and toward the sun and passes back out, if it makes it and doesn't fall apart when it interacts with the sun. Okay, now let's get on over to Stellarium and check out these dates here on screen. All right, guys, the first date we're going to go to here is October 14th and 15th. Comet Ison will pass very near the star Regulus in the constellation Leo, as you can see here on screen. Now, the best time to see this formation in October is between 4 a.m. and 6 a.m. The reason why is if you go out before 4 a.m., it's not going to be above the horizon yet. And if you go out there after 6 or around 7 or something, the sun will be coming up and it'll be much harder to see. So between 4 and 6 a.m. is the best time to go out there and see Comet Ison right next to Regulus. And it'll be a magnitude of 8.64 then. And not only will it be right next to Regulus, but it'll actually be closer to the planet Mars. So that should be very cool to see on the morning of October 14th and 15th, this formation of Regulus, Mars, and Comet Ison in the eastern sky. Look due east on that morning in between those times. And if you're in the United States, guys, do your homework, adjust your hours accordingly. I'm in the central time zone, so if you're on the east coast, adjust your hours. If you're on the west coast, adjust your hours. And on the mountain time, adjust your hours. Now, the next date we're going to go to here real quick is November 18th. What's going to happen on November 18th? Well, you can pretty much actually see here that on November 18th, Constant will be within a degree of Spica. 1 degree of Spica. The best time to go out there and see that formation is between 5 and 6 a.m. Central Time. Again, adjust your time zones, because I'm in the Central Time Zone. You can go outside, look pretty much due east, and you'll see in the eastern sky, you'll see the Comet Ison, which will be a magnitude of 2.76 at that time, will be right less than a degree from the star, the Spica star. And also in that sky, just below Ison, will be Mercury, and Saturn will be rising up. So between 6 and 7 is the best time to see that formation. Now, the next date we're going to is the 28th of November. And on the 28th, obviously, Ison will pass as closest to the sun at that particular point, and that's we're not going to be able to see that from Earth, guys, because the sun is obviously way too bright. But if we zoom in here on this program, you can kind of get a feel and an idea of what it would look like if you could look at it. If you have a telescope, I'd advise you guys to get a solar filter and check that out, because it would be a very cool sight to try to see on a solar filter onto your telescope. Now, guys, we're going to wrap this up. Sorry it took so long, but there was a lot of information we had to get out. Again, this is the most updated information that I know of on the internet as of today. And today's date is May 2nd, by the way, that I'm recording this. We couldn't find any more updated information other than what I've told you in this video. Stay tuned after I get done talking. Ed Dames is coming up next from my April 23rd Coast to Coast show, where he's talking about how Ison is going to be the reason why the kill shot comes toward the Earth. And one more warning before I go, guys. I want to stress this again. Be aware of websites out there, YouTube sites, telling you that they have information that somebody told them, okay? There's a lot of people out there making videos almost every day talking about there's new information about Ison. There is no new information about Ison as of me talking on this video right now. I've searched it. Me and other people have searched it. There is no other information other than what I told you in the possibilities of what's going to happen. So I want you to be aware of that. Be careful. Now, I've had people tell me things that's supposed to happen with Ison. I can't verify them, therefore I'm not going to put it out there and tell you about it, because I can't verify it. I'd just be basically lying to you and telling you what somebody told me as a rumor. I don't want to do that here. If there's any more information about Ison that comes out, I assure you we will make a video about it. Thanks for watching, guys. God bless.
This large passing space body, if all the people who have not seen my kill shot DVDs, and it's free. They can go to thekillshot.com and get it still. In that, you'll see I mention a large passing space body either initiates these solar flares, these sequence of very large solar flares, or is concomitant with it, attendant with it. We think that the Ison group that discovered this very large comet, we think that Ison comet is the best candidate. All these things are fitting like pieces of a puzzle. So that's why I'm saying I'm putting my stuff on the line now, because you know that remote viewing is outside of time. That's why we have to work so hard to establish dates. But I'm saying 2013 and early 2014 is when it starts. So all that, I believe, will eclipse all these wars and rumors of war.
Well, this comet that is out there, Comet Ison, right? That could be a candidate here?
Well, that group, actually it's a group that discovered it, and it was two men in the group, one from Belarus, one a Russian. And we're saying that the comet that they discovered is very large. It's going to pass it's a sun grazer. It's going to be a sun grazer, and it's going to dump dust on Earth, coming and going in 2014, early 2014. People can check this out on the internet themselves. We're saying that plus these two other events that presage, they're not precursors of, but they presage the kill shot. It's all so close together that and because that large passing space body is the thing that triggers or is concurrent with the initiation of all these huge solar flares. We're saying that comet passes by in the late in winter, late fall and winter this year. That's when it starts. That's when we're saying all the stuff really starts. Now, we may have some very large solar flares before that, but we're saying when that comet passes through this neck of the woods, that's when the stuff really hits the fan.